Imagine the horror a 10-year-old boy felt when he woke up, walked out of his room, and found his entire family dead, everyone but him. His father, mother, and 3 older brothers were lying in pools of blood. This story is deeply sad and terrifying. It might even make you wonder if the people closest to you are truly safe to be around.
I wish it was all a bad dream, and that we would wake up and that they would still be here.
Jonathan Candy's family looked like any other regular American family. Some might even say they were the perfect image of the family next door. They were a family of 4 boys and 2 parents, and everything about them seemed normal. No one would have ever thought anything unusual was happening behind the closed doors of the Candy family home.
I had to see it for myself. I kept asking Cooper to please snap and text Ethan, and has he seen Ethan today? Has he talked to him? And I was calling Lindsay, and I was messaging Dylan, and nobody would respond.
They were your all-American family. This is something, I mean, I could live 100,000 lifetimes and never expect this out of that.
I could have never imagined that ever in my whole entire life, you know? And I'm still in shock.
Even their neighbors, who saw them almost every day, never would have guessed anything was wrong in the Candy family's home at the end of the cul-de-sac. An interview with the couple back in 2022 showed them as a young, happy family, chatting about their favorite bakery in Yukon on a show called Discovering Oklahoma.
I come here twice a week in the morning just for their breakfast burritos, which are by far anything better than you can get around here. I love the carrot cake. I don't eat a lot of sweets, even with my last name, but I love the carrot cake.
I like the cannoli. The cannoli are good.
Now, it's a tragedy that they're all gone, leaving behind only the youngest son. The darkest part of this story isn't just that they were all murdered. In some ways, it might have been easier to understand if a violent stranger had broken in and attacked them during the night. But that's not what happened. The hardest part to accept is that the person who killed the wife and 3 children and then took his own life was Jonathan Candy. Not a stranger, but the husband and father who was supposed to love and care for them, the man they trusted the most.
Him and his kids seemed like they always got along. He just was just a family man. I mean, I never expected this. We were just in total shock. Yeah. The kids were real friendly. Everybody here loved the kids. Swam here at his house regularly. They played with my dog.
Like we have families down here that they work, and he'd come over and mow their lawns and take care of the family. Anything you needed, he'd be there for you.
Jonathan Candy was a 42-year-old man from Yukon, Oklahoma. He worked part-time at the Paycom Center, one of Yukon's large arenas that hosts events like concerts and sports games. It was basketball season, and Jonathan had been busy working at the recent NBA games. When the Oklahoma City Thunder had a home game, excitement filled the area, and Jonathan's cheerful personality made him well-liked around the arena. Though his job was only part-time, he was known for his jokes and the laughter he brought to the place. Jonathan attended Bishop McGuinness Catholic High School, and after he graduated, he married his high school sweetheart, Lindsay Terry. Lindsay was from Prague, Oklahoma, and had sung in the choir as a young girl, always known for her bright personality and warm smile. Jonathan was a funny, easygoing guy who loved to make people laugh, and Lindsay quickly fell in love with his charm and sense of humor. Their marriage seemed strong, even after many years and 4 sons. Jonathan and Lindsay seemed happy together, and there were no signs of any trouble at home. Their children also seemed to live normal, happy lives. On social media, the couple's profiles were filled with photos of joyful family moments, and anyone looking through their posts would have thought they were a typical happy family. Jonathan often told friends and family that his wife and kids were his whole world. But on April 22nd, something unimaginable happened. The youngest son, whose name has been kept private, stepped out of his room that morning, expecting it to be like any other day. He hadn't heard anything unusual, as he'd slept through the night with a fan on. The only noise he remembered was the fire alarm going off at some point, but he went right back to sleep. Around 9 a.m., the boy left his room and discovered a horrific scene, his entire family lying in blood. At 9:30 a.m., the 10-year-old called 911, telling the dispatcher that his family was dead. Police quickly arrived at the Candy home on Southwest 29th Street and Czech Hall Road, and what they found was a nightmare. Inside, they found 39-year-old Lindsay Candy and her sons, 18-year-old Dylan, 14-year-old Ethan, and 12-year-old Lucas, all fatally shot. Jonathan Candy, 42, was also found dead, having taken his own life after killing his family. It was immediately identified as a murder-suicide, but everyone who knew the family was left with one burning question. Why did this happen? The only survivor was the 10-year-old boy who made the 911 call. Neighbors on Czech Hall Road watched as ambulances and police cars gathered outside the Candy family home, puzzled and concerned about what might have happened. After some investigation, police revealed that Jonathan Candy, the father, had allegedly hunted down and killed his wife and 3 of his children, leaving only the youngest son unharmed. According to Oklahoma officials, 2 of the victims' bodies were found upstairs and the other 2 were downstairs. Oddly, there were no signs of a struggle, which only deepens the mystery. In most cases like this, it's rare for the perpetrator to spare anyone, especially if the plan was to kill everyone and then themselves. So, what could have happened that led Jonathan to spare his youngest child? Was it a last-minute decision, or was there something special about their bond? Unfortunately, we may never know, as there's no one left to answer these questions. Jonathan's relatives understand the trauma this event has placed on the young boy and believe it's best to keep him out of further investigations, at least for now. Until more is discovered, this case remains shrouded in mystery. Dr. Joni Johnston, a clinical and forensic psychologist leading the investigation, said she found the situation shocking and unusual. In her experience, it's incredibly rare for a parent to kill their family but leave one child unharmed. Jonathan's friends, neighbors, and colleagues were all taken by surprise, as they had noticed nothing unusual in his behavior. Jonathan was even seen at the Thunder Pelicans playoff game just hours before the tragedy unfolded. No one saw any signs of trouble, nor were there any reports of domestic violence, which is commonly linked to murder-suicides. There's speculation that Jonathan and Lindsay may have had an argument the night of the murders. However, no one knows what might have triggered Jonathan to respond in such an extreme way, leading to the loss of his wife and 3 children. He had always seemed like a supportive father and a loving husband, so what could have driven him to do something so tragic? One theory is that Jonathan may have acted impulsively. Perhaps, in a moment of anger or desperation, he took his wife's life. And once that tragic decision was made, he may have felt trapped, unable to face the aftermath. The guilt and horror of what he'd done may have led him to a grim conclusion. He couldn't leave his children to face the trauma of knowing their father was a murderer. In a twisted way, he may have thought that by ending it all, he was sparing them the pain of living with this nightmare. But then, why did he let his youngest son live? That's the piece of the puzzle that remains unanswered. Investigators are looking into whether financial problems could have played a role in what happened. Financial stress can sometimes lead to depression, especially for someone who feels a heavy responsibility to provide. The pressure can cause distorted thoughts, making a person feel trapped and unable to see a way out. Another possibility is that Jonathan may have been dealing with mental health issues that he kept hidden. There is still a strong stigma around mental health, especially for men, who often struggle to ask for help. Depression in men can look different than in women, showing up as irritability, withdrawal, or anger rather than open sadness. These signs can easily go unnoticed, and without support, they can intensify. When someone reaches a severe level of depression, they might feel utterly hopeless. In such a dark place, they may come to believe that ending their own life, and sometimes the lives of others, is the only escape. While we may never know the true reasons behind these tragic events, this case has left a deep impact on those close to the Candy family. Lindsay Candy's Facebook page reflects the warmth she brought into the world, with friends sharing heartfelt memories. Her childhood friend, Cammie Cruz, recalled how they sang together in the church choir and went through school side by side. She shared a memory of the two as young girls, falling asleep in a treehouse and causing their families to panic, even calling the police to help find them. The relief and laughter when they were found safe brought everyone together. Stories like this show the lively, playful spirit Lindsay had, and her sudden absence is profoundly felt. Dylan Candy, the oldest son, was a bright and sociable young man with a deep passion for drumming and music. He graduated from Mustang High School in 2023 and joined the Oklahoma Baptist University Marching Band, playing the first bass drum in the Bison Brigade. His band director, Brian Stackhouse, described Dylan as an exceptional person with a generous heart and a positive outlook, even on difficult days. To honor him, Dylan's bandmates have set up his bass drum and uniform as a memorial display. Ethan Candy, the second oldest at 14, was known for his love of baseball and his boundless energy. His coach, TJ Armstrong, remembered Ethan as a dedicated player with a contagious smile who brightened the field every time he played. Ethan's friends and teammates have been heartbroken by his loss, and a memorial bench is being placed at the Mustang Youth Sports Complex to remember his spirit and presence. Lucas Candy, the youngest victim at just 12 years old, had a joyful and energetic spirit. Always playful, he could often be seen running around at his brother Ethan's practices, bringing smiles to everyone nearby. But perhaps the saddest part of this tragedy is the path ahead for the sole survivor, the youngest son of the Candy family. At only 10 years old, he now faces a future without his parents or siblings. In one night, his entire world was turned upside down, and he is left with questions he may never find answers to. He has been placed with extended family who, alongside the community, are doing everything they can to support him through this painful reality. Social workers are closely involved, working with his new caretakers to ensure he receives the emotional and psychological care he'll need for the years ahead. A GoFundMe campaign has also been set up to help with his future needs, education, and well-being. The support from friends, neighbors, and even strangers is a strong reminder that he's not facing this alone. This tragedy has left many struggling to understand what happened. Jonathan's family released a statement through the local station, KF, sharing their heartbreak and confusion, expressing that they are left with endless questions they may never be able to answer. Neighbors who knew the Candy family are also grieving. Michael Burham, 68, said he's finding it hard to accept the loss of his neighbors. Another neighbor, Brian Graham, shared that Jonathan was always willing to lend a helping hand in the community. Ethan's coach, TJ Armstrong, remembers Jonathan as the supportive and grateful man he thought he knew, someone who always shared a warm hug. Rhonda Armstrong, TJ's wife, recalls how seeing Jonathan and Lindsay with their family would instantly brighten her day. As investigators continue to search for answers, they are also using this tragedy to raise awareness about mental health. They emphasize the importance of reaching out for help when facing struggles and breaking the stigma surrounding mental health. This case serves as a powerful reminder that even those who seem to be doing well may be facing deep, hidden battles. This painful story of the Candy family's tragic end reminds us of the importance of compassion and connection. Authorities have set up support and counseling services for anyone impacted by the news, hoping to prevent future tragedies. As we wrap up this episode, our hearts go out to the friends and family left behind to grieve the loss of Jonathan, Lindsay, Dylan, Ethan, and Lucas Candy. Their absence leaves a void that will never be fully filled. Our thoughts are with the surviving son as he embarks on a challenging journey ahead, carrying the weight of this tragedy with him. If this story moved you, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. Stay tuned for more stories exploring some of the most tragic and twisted cases. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.